Are you fed up? As you observe what's going on in the world, are you satisfied? What direction do you think it's going? Is it moving in a good direction? Are we, as human beings, the human race, are we headed in the right direction? How do you answer these questions? If you're like me, and the vast majority of the people that I talk to, you're not satisfied. You don't think things are going in a particularly good way in the macro world. This world that I call the bizarro world. It's a crazy, stupid, upside-down, synthetic world. So, are you fed up? If you had a magic wand, would you do something about it? What would you do? What would you do? What would you change? What would you create? Would you try to do it alone? Or would you do it with others? Or, when you look at this question, do you feel powerful? Do you feel that you can make a difference? Do you feel hopeful that we can turn this thing around? Or do you feel powerless? Do you feel that there's nothing you can do? That it's too big and you alone can't even put a little dent in it? Are you so busy just trying to keep up that you really don't have time to even think about these questions? Has busyness taken over your life and filled all your moments? Do you have a sense of what is true? Do you think about truth? Do you ask that question? What are you investing your precious energy in, your focused attention? What are you investing in? Are we helpless? Is it hopeless? What three things, if you had that magic wand, what three things would you change, would you create in the world to help the human race get back on track? I think we really need to ask these questions. I think that by acquiescing to the current false narrative, this bizarro world and our programmed role in it, I think if we don't ask these questions, then we don't have the possibility of making a difference. If we ask these questions in our heart and, in conversation with each other, we may come to the conclusion that everything's hopeless, that there's nothing we can do. Or we may discover or rediscover or remember just how powerful we are, just how able we are to change everything. But if we don't ask these questions, we're doomed to continue down this path of chaos and destruction, assuming that's what you see out there, assuming that you're fed up with that. So one of my favorite people in the world, one of my biggest heroes, is a gentleman by the name of Amit Goswami. He's a quantum physicist, PhD. He wrote textbooks that are used in universities and graduate schools all over the world. And he calls himself the quantum activist, and he invites us all to this activism, this quantum activism that basically says that we are beings in full expression of non-linear creativity, that we're powerful creators. And the instrument of our creative energy is our thoughts and our feelings. And as the quantum activist, he calls us to ask the question, are we fed up? If so, then what are we going to do about it? So I know in my heart, I know, G-N-O-W, Gnostic know, that I and we have the power to turn this whole thing around and to do it with ease, grace, and fun. But if we don't stand up and own that power and lean into this activism, into the action that comes from our heart, which is the connection to everything, the connection to the infinite intelligence, the absolute confidence of creator energy. If we don't do this, then we're doomed. And who's responsible for our doom? We are. So, are you fed up? Then what are you going to do about it? I've come up with what I think is a beautiful approach, a beautiful path. I've come up with what I have discovered in a beautiful serendipity. It's fallen into my lap. A wonderful path, one of many. I think there are infinite paths to our transformation into a new world of compassion, a world we really want to see, a world that our hearts so fully want to see. And I call it the Contributive Energy Rocks Transformational Architecture. So I got this, guys. I got this. So I'm going to share it with you, and I'm going to invite whoever wants to come look at this with me. And if it makes sense to you, and if you're fed up, we can take this action. It's all about action. Right action. Action in a good way. Action in the living of the question, how can I help? Which is a powerful, powerful question. The quantum activist question. A contributive energy question. And tapping into that connection, that infinite connection that we have through our center, our energetic center, which for me is clearly in my heart. That we can tap into that power that Esther, Hicks, Gerry, and Abraham tell us so clearly and so often. We can tap into that infinite creation power that creates worlds. And in that action, in that activism, we have the power to turn this whole thing around. So first we have to be fed up. We have to be in that energy of enough is enough. This is not the world that I want. I want something different. So in this quantum activism, we have the power to turn this whole thing around. First, we have to get to the point where we think something needs to change. And in that energy, then we have to step into our power. So what if I told you that you have the power, we have the power to turn this whole thing around simply by powerfully, intentionally, and consciously thinking and feeling, and doing this thinking and feeling intentionally and consciously together. So that is my truth. That's the truth I've discovered. I know this. G-N-O-W, Gnostic knowing. I know it in my marrow of my marrow. So, are you fed up? And if you are, what are you going to do about it? Thank you for listening. Until next time, take care.